Thinking about data, right? I think about one of my favorite songs, More Money, More Problems. So it's like more data, more problems. 30 years ago, Clorox could say everybody that walked into this store had a coupon and we could track that that coupon has success. To your point, now you have to attribute for all these touch points across this digital landscape because who knows, somebody could have saw a commercial. How do you track that, you know? So it gets really challenging and tricky based on what kind of business you're running and based on what your current data practices are. And I think that ladders up to this idea of data governance, which I would define as the set of rules, regulations, processes in which you manage data that's coming in. And if you think about organizations that might have churn as far as their talent, when one person goes out the door, so does a wealth of knowledge and maybe their deep knowledge about that data. So keep your data people happy is a piece of advice I want to give all businesses out there. But as we get closer to kind of wrapping this conversation up, I wanted to ask you both if there was one thing you wanted to recommend to a client to rectify their data issues, what would that thing be? And I know that's a very broad question, right? Because
Yeah,
circumstances could be
there's
different.
I wish that they were like my top five, but I do think I can get
Yeah.
it to one. Because I
Give me two
I
or three if you want to. Two or three is cool.
okay, I do
Yeah.
think I can get it to one, but I'll name some others potentially. But so, the number one thing that I think has been really helpful with our clients is when we talk about understanding and mapping their MarTech stack. So that may seem, oh, that seems kind of basic, but I think it actually really does help because when you put together a framework of how all your MarTech works together, so you're outlining all of your inbound platforms, all of your, how you're operating in terms of your platform. So that could be your ERP system, your CRM, your CMS, all of these different tools and technologies. If you can map that out and have that dispersed across your organization so they know we're using this tool for that, this tool for that, it helps people know what they can go to for certain information and help them find solutions. So, we've had a couple discussions with our customers where they're not intimately aware of their MarTech stack or the why behind their MarTech stack. And that's where they run into a lot of bad data or data solutioning. So, that would be my number one takeaway right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess I would say kind of what Kristen was saying. I think having a central single source of truth for your customer data that you can tap into and action across different tools, kind of what Kristen was saying, but having a central repository, because I've seen instances where businesses do have kind of a wealth of knowledge about a customer, but they're not actioning it effectively. They're
Yeah.
still sending generic emails or whatever the case may be. And it's like, if only you could figure out your MarTech and data repository situation, you can actually action it, if not in complete real time, closer to real time, right? Especially when you're talking about a business that might have brick and mortar locations, you're collecting data about store visits, about coupons cashed, about POS
Yep.
system data, right? So if you can incorporate that and then send more relevant, more personalized communications across various channels, I think you'll improve the customer experience overall. And even though it's from a marketing or creative standpoint, at least in my experience, a lot of the creatives and marketers that I interact with, they don't often think about like the underpinnings of technology and data, but it really has to all work together so that you can send more relevant, more personalized communications to the right people at the right time. And that takes data and connected technology.
Absolutely. And I think my answer is going to be a blend of what both of you said, but in simple terms, I would make sure an organization understands that they need to clean their data, clean it and document it.
Data
And I think
hygiene is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
data hygiene, you know what I mean? And maybe, it's something that's, I think sometimes we focus so much on collecting data, we forget to clean it and to make sure it's actually usable. So, Jeff, you were saying something about how you meet a lot of clients and they have a wealth of data, but they lack insights, right? let's clean that data. Let's make sure that one record doesn't represent 17 customers, right? Whatever the situation might be. Because then once you get that data cleaned and you get it documented, then I think you both said this, you can share it with your organization. Maybe department A doesn't need all the data, but I'm sure there's two or three attributes they could really use that'll help them do their jobs better. And I think in this digital world, we have to make sure that data is demystified across an entire organization because we put so much energy into acquiring this data, especially if it's zero or first party data. We want to make sure we can use it to the best of our ability. So, my number one advice, even though it's very broad, would be to clean it and document it. And as a 1B, I would say, well, actually, this might be the most important. Keep the data person happy or that data team, whoever it is. I had an opportunity to work with some really great data architects that went into systems, demystified everything, cleaned it up, established a data dictionary, right? So you can actually then define what each data point means for the entire organization. So I think, if you do everything that me, Jeff, and Kristen said, you're going to be pretty successful. And with that said, definitely appreciate you joining today. Jeff, I think you wanted to jump in with one thing.
Well, I was just going to say data dictionary was something else on my list. It wasn't
Yeah,
quite the number one
Mhm.
item, but yeah, you
yeah,
bring up a great point. If you can create that artifact so that you're all speaking the same language
Mhm.
across the organization, that's another big win that businesses can do, are capable of doing, but oftentimes forget to do.
totally agreed. And we say, I think an old adage is communication is key. And sometimes we
Mhm.
forget that the most simple phrases and statements really do set the tone for what we need to be doing, whether it's in our personal lives with our families and relationships. But at a greater level, at an organizational level, communication through that data is going to be paramount to hitting those North Stars, hitting those goals, and making sure business is being done at the highest level possible. Any closing thoughts, Kristen and Jeff, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think, I think our summary here is build a culture of data.
Build a culture of data. I love it.